Welcome to the Real Estate Fight Club, a podcast for agents where you'll witness a battle of opinions about topics affecting your real estate business. Now, always in your corner, here are your hosts, Jenn Mertland and Monica Weekly.
Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Fight Club. I am so happy to be here with my co-host, Jenn Mert. What's up?
Oh, yeah, baby. Hey, Monica.
How are you? Are you feeling better? You've been a little under the weather these days.
I'm fine. It's fine. Everything is fine.
Okay, good. Keep telling yourself. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Real Estate Fight Club. We're so happy you're here, and thanks for subscribing and liking and sharing and all the things. Today, Jenn and I are going to duke it out over this question. Should you do a preliminary title search prior to listing? I don't know if this question is, should the seller be required to, or should the agent be required to? Let's figure that question out first. But in general, do you think this title search should happen before we list a house?
Yes.
You say yes. And does this fall on the seller or does this fall on the listing agent?
I mean, to me, we're on the same team. So I'm not really sure.
Well, it costs money. So.
True. So, I mean, the seller.
Okay. So part of selling is you have to incur this expense up front to make sure there's a clear title. Is what you're saying.
Well, that usually gets paid later on the at the closing. But let's just say that, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of getting your house ready for sale. So you have to, I think that as a seller and as an agent, we have to make the house available to as many buyers as possible, and we have to make it ready to go. So I think part of that is knowing that it's actually saleable, which was the title search.
Okay. I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think
I'm ending this.
Of course, this is Real Estate Fight Club. This is what happens. And here's where I don't disagree that it's good to know that there's a clear title, which in the current process, we obviously get to that point at the proper.
At the very, very end, after everybody spent a bunch of money to get there. It's ridiculous.
How common is it that there's a title problem that prevents the sale?
That I don't know.
I don't know that either. And I think all I can speak to is, the 18 years I've been doing it. I think maybe once has a title problem actually caused the sale not to happen.
Not to happen, but it gets delayed, and delays cause problems.
Sure. But you are going to, it's more common that the deal will fall through during an inspection. So here we're spending all this money ahead of the thing that causes the deal to fall down the most.
Well, I think we should do pre-inspections too. I think that was episode 2.
That was episode 2.
And we should do pre-inspections because half the time when we were doing them before, the buyers were releasing their inspections based on the one that the sellers got. But that's going to be market driven too. And maybe this is also market driven. But I think so when a bank goes to foreclose on a property before they resell it, they do a title search. I mean, that's a little bit different reason, right? Because there could be a lot of other things. I think it's especially important to do a title search if you have a property that's had multiple owners, that's been in foreclosure or default in some way, that's an inherited piece of property, where it's not been your residence for a number of years. I think that's where this becomes more important.
I agree.
But I think too, if you're going to deliver, if I'm going to sell something, I'm going to sell my car. I want it to be in the best condition as possible so the buyer can give me what I want, which is the money that I'm asking for the car. And so in this, I mean, I know houses are not cars, but I want to give my house the best possible light, which is why I clean it. Look, it's been pre-inspected. It's been, there's been a title search on it. We are ready to go. All you have to do is say yes. Makes it easy peasy.
Well, but that is happening. That is happening just at the point that the title company knows that all parties are on board with buying the house.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to find a buyer. That's why we're putting the house on the market. I mean, we're not putting the house on the market not to sell it.
Well, I guess one argument in your favor with your argument is it really sifts out non-motivated sellers.
Hello.
Because they've got to come up with some money up front.
Maybe. I've never, on the ones we've done, it hasn't been a charge up front. So I don't know, but maybe.
So the title company just does it for free?
I mean,
If they know they're getting the business. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other case you run into too is in some parts of the country, in some cities, who chooses the title company.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Here, it's obviously the buyers.
In Cincinnati, but that's uncommon. It's mostly the seller. So it's like in most places, it's the seller. So it's like, okay, well, we're just going to go ahead and get started and make it easier for the buyer to close. Like, it is my goal as the czaress of real estate. One of my goals will be to make the process shorter. There's no reason that this has to take so long. And part of it, a week of it, is this title search. Well, let's just do it ahead of time.
Well, let's just do all of it. Let's get the appraisal. Let's get the inspection. Let's get the title. Let's spend $3,000 to get your house ready to sell.
You want to sell it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We would do the appraisal, except that the bank won't allow it. But if the bank allowed it, I think you should do all of that. Get it ready to sell. Have the people really actually qualified, like through underwriting, before they can even put an offer on the house. It's ridiculous the amount of time that all this crap takes.
You need to go to your corner right now.
All right, let's take a short break.
Can we please?
Let's hear
I need you breathing. I need you breathing.
I can barely breathe, Monica. You know that. Let's take a short break, hear a word from our partners, and when we return, I'm going to knock Monica's ass out.
Hey guys, it's Monica and Jen from the Real Estate Fight Club. We wanted to give a big shout out to one of our favorite partners, that is Coach John Kitchens.
Yes, he's so good.
He is. He's the best. And go to the link below for a special offer from John for just you, our podcast listeners.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey there, you liking this video? Go ahead and hit subscribe so you get all the latest videos.
All right, welcome back. Let's get back to the battle inside the ring. Jennifer Mertland is way more passionate about this concept than I am. We're talking about, should you do a preliminary title prior to listing a house? I say no.
Yes.
It's all part of the process. You need to get through the inspection to make sure all parties are still on board. And then you can just do a quick title search and you're off to the finish line.
Quick title search. And then boom, something pops up. It's ridiculous. Look, you ready to sell? Or are you not? Is the house worth it? What you're asking, or is it not? Is it ready to go? Has it been inspected? Like, let's get all this shit taken care of. Are you as a buyer pre-qualified through underwriting actually able to buy a house? I don't want to wait around for hours, weeks.
Okay, let me present this little angle that I don't think you're thinking about.
Okay, hook me up, sister.
I think that while I have had some title issues come up, when you're in the 11th hour of the deal, it is more likely that the seller will do what it takes to fix that thing, since we're right at the finish line. I think it puts the appropriate level of pressure on the seller to go ahead and pay the lien off or whatever it is.
They're going to fix it or not fix it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I agree with you. It puts more pressure on them, but it also puts more pressure on them. Why give them the pressure? You either want to sell or you don't want to sell. And if a preliminary title search causes you not to sell the property, either it wasn't going to sell, it probably wasn't going to sell anyway.
Oh, well, that's what my point is that
I'd rather know now than before I invest my money in it.
But they might have already moved their stuff out. They might have already bought something. So they're going to fix it. Where if they had the options, let's just not move.
That's
motivation. Now you're losing the listing.
I disagree. Then they weren't going to sell. They were going to come up with something else ridiculous.
I don't know that that's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
I don't think we have data.
We don't have data. We need data. It's true. All right. I think that's going to have to be the end of today's battle. I have a headache now from this. Yes, I literally have gotten a headache during this episode.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. All right, guys, we're curious. What do you guys think? Do you think that would make life easier? Are you on Team Jen on this? I think you
Yes.
might actually get some Team Jen on this one.
I
know.
hope so.
I just think the system is fine and it should stay the way it is.
That's so dumb.
There it is. If you're drinking, if you're playing the Real Estate Fight Club drinking game, Jen says dumb, drink up.
Drink up.
All right, guys, go to our Facebook page or Instagram page. That's Real Estate Fight Club Podcast, and give us some feedback. Let us know, ask a question, tell us what you think, all of the good things.
Everything. And make sure you share this episode with a friend. And if you're interested to learn more about EXP or you want to reach out to me and Monica, you can give us a call at 513-400-1691. Thanks, Monica.
See you next time.
Bye. Oh, we have Amber Allred back. Hey, Amber.
Well, hey, Jennifer, how you doing?
Good. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you. I wore my best scrubs today.
Yes. If you're only listening to this, head over to the YouTube channel, the Real Estate Fight Club YouTube channel, and check out Amber's look today. Jeez, Lou. All right, Amber.
I know, I'm sorry.
You ready to be the tiebreaker?
Oh gosh, is it a tiebreaker? Oh, wow, I didn't realize I was the tiebreaker. This is exciting.
All right. Do you think that the sellers should do a preliminary title search prior to putting the house on the market?
Oh gosh, that is a good question. If you would have asked me a month ago, I would have said no.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I had something come up recently.
Tell me.
Okay. So I've got clients who are selling a house that they have inherited from a sudden death in the family. Okay.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it does. And they inherited the house, but the attorney took the house out of the estate and put it into their name. So now anything that is
weird.
I thought so too, but I'm not an attorney, but
attorney either, but that sounds weird.
I feel like I'm in attorney jail all the time. Anyway,
you're not in realtor jail all the time.
That's true. You're right.
Okay.
Anyway, so they had asked me if it was a good idea. I didn't even think about it. It's not something I normally did. I just thought, well, they'll find, the buyers pick the title company around, Southwest Ohio. So we'll just find out,
Right.
And typically there's not any issues that come up. I mean, it's kind of rare, right? That issues come up.
Yeah.
So
Aware that a difficult issue comes up. I mean, you have issues that are easy, but yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But like a big difficult issue is kind of a more of a rarity, right?
Right.
So, so the husband actually had mentioned it. He said, do you think we should do a title search on the house just to make sure there's nothing against this property? And I was like, that's probably a really good idea. Let me call my buddy down at Fidelity. We all know Dave.
Shout out
Dave
Kennedy. Yep. Fidelity Land Title. He's great.
He is. So they didn't do a full title search because that costs money, but they did do a preliminary one just to see what they could find on an initial search in the databases that they have available to them.
Okay.
And it turned out that there were 3 liens
on
the property, including 1 medical bill and 1 reverse mortgage, which she did know about, but it was that they knew. And so, here it is now. This house is in her name, and guess what? Those are against her, not the estate. So, while it doesn't change the outcome of everything, what I do think it did is help prepare for what moves we were going to make next. And additionally, we were able to let the buyers know, hey, listen, we would really strongly advise you use our title company because they've already done a search. They're aware of the situation and they can already be working on it.
Well, I'm interested to hear because I think that in where we live in Southern Ohio, it is common for the buyer to choose the title company. But I think in most of the rest of the places, it is the seller. I'd be curious if they are doing are they doing preliminary title searches? If so, when? And I wonder why we're like the last one standing on the buyer's choosing, because honestly, it makes no sense.
Well, it is kind of strange because you would think that since the sellers have owned the house, they would be they're the ones getting the title. I mean, they have to do the title company still brings up the buyer, looks for any name changes or if they have any tax liens or things like that, but that's not against the property, that's against the person. And the person selling the property, the sellers or the owners would probably want to know, do they have something outstanding against this property that maybe they weren't aware of?
But if you're the buyer, you want your company to be the one that insures it. So I guess it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true too, but we're also, we don't also require owner's title insurance here
Right.
either. In some
Not yet.
places.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
not yet. But some places do require that, even though I always do highly recommend it,
Yeah.
especially in situations like this too, like
Right.
getting title insurance. But again, like it doesn't, for her, it's not going to change that outcome. We still have to get the house sold as quickly as possible to release these liens. But like, it was a good opportunity for them to go, oh man, we didn't realize this, and now
Right.
they can process it. And we are aware now. We're not finding out in the middle of the deal,
Right.
10 days before closing, and then the buyer goes, well, crap, I'm not taking this house. This has got stuff attached to
Right.
it.
Exactly. You have time to work on
10
it.
days before. Now you're back to the drawing board. So we were able to know these things, pass it along, say, this is why we want you to choose, and disclose some of the information. So it was helpful.
Well, let me ask you though, now that this has happened to you, does it change your view on if title searches should be done? Or do you think like maybe they should be done under certain circumstances? Or what is your point of view?
Oh, that is a good question, because, I do think this was kind of this is the first, no, I'd say it's the first time. It's the second time in my years, so many years, 5 years, of doing this, the second time that something really big has come up for the sellers. So to answer your question about, does it change my mind? Will I now be moving forward and saying we need to do preliminary title searches on every property? I don't know that it's going to completely change my mind. I think it's something I can talk to the sellers about, and I can say, is this something you'd like to do? Do you have any concerns? And certainly if it's an estate or a probate or something of that nature, I will absolutely do it.
Right. Yeah,
sure.
Because you never know what's attached to something, especially if it's not your house.
Yeah. And I think also it can give the buyer a little peace of mind too. Like, hey, listen, we already went through the preliminary title search on this. It's showing that the title is clear.
Right.
And so we can now offer that as like, this is one little piece of the puzzle that you don't have to worry about. So I do think it can be a good marketing
potentially. Yeah.
Potential. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Amber, I always appreciate you being on. It's lovely, of course.
Let me ask you a question though.
The tables
am I Team Monica or Team Jennifer?
I don't know. I'm not telling you. You'll have to listen.
Oh, dang. Because I go back and forth, as you know.
Like half of each. You're mostly Monica, I think, right?
Well, it has depended on the subject, but I do tend to there's certain things that I definitely am Team Monica.
Yeah.
But there are some things where I'm like, Jennifer, she got a good point there.
How angry you are that day. Whose team you're on?
It depends on how much you're fighting. And then I'm like, ooh, I'm on Jen's side. She's going to fight somebody.
Exactly. Well, Amber, if people have a referral for you in Cincinnati, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, they could call me if they like, or you know what, they could text
Nobody
me.
calls people anymore.
No one calls me. How about they text me?
Okay.
513-814-4044, or they can just text you and you can text me.
That's true. Whatever. And I actually did call people today, prospecting, and they picked up. So people do answer.
They do.
Oh, and they were nice, Nobody killed me. All right. Amber, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Bye.